Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Barrow Dyad is out, so this video is going to be your guide on how to unlock the new exotic mission and how to get your hands on this new exotic SMG. We're also going to talk about how to upgrade it with its intrinsics. And of course, timestamps are down below, and if at any point during this video you found it helpful, a subscription would be much appreciated. So to start first, we need to go through a somewhat lengthy process to actually unlock the exotic mission. We'll begin, like most things in this episode, with the Nether. What we're looking for is a specific taken Blight in a specific area. This Blight will spawn in a few locations, but to find quick success, load into the Nether Explorer and try to load into the Trenchway, which is this outside area. It's where you spawned for the first time this episode and where you first spawned way back in the Taken King. What you're looking for is a Blight way down to your left on this pillar. If it's not there, relaunch the activity. This took us about 5 minutes to actually get the Blight to spawn, with us just constantly re-rolling the Nether. But once you have it spawned in, you're just going to walk up to it and jump into it. This brings us to the first puzzle and something we'll interact with a couple times. The puzzle here begins by standing on this plate. Then when on the plate and having your reticle on this, a rune is going to spawn, and it's going to disappear if you look away. But when it spawns, you'll get some text in the bottom left saying something like, "Something whispers to the right." The way to solve this puzzle is by keeping your reticle on the rune and stepping in the mentioned direction. So for us, we stepped on the plate, read the text, and walked right. This teleports you to the other side of the wall, where you can pick up an exotic item that begins the exotic questline, which, straight into following that, takes us back to the shaping slab. Here we get a quest that requires us to enable a specific rune, which is done right here. If you want to know how to upgrade your runes and unlock them, check out my episodic guide. But once you've done that, you'll then get tasked with finding something in Sorrow's Harbor on the moon. The objective here is now to enter the K1 Revelation Lost sector. Within will be a taken shield covering one of the puzzle plates you just did. Shooting the Blight on top of the barrier removes the shield, and you can then redo the puzzle. Doing this will teleport you to the beginning of the Lost sector, and you'll now actually need to complete the Lost sector with a somewhat new taken variant. You're going to continue until you kill a boss ogre, which will spawn the next Osseous fragment and update our quest to do the same thing we just did, but now in the Forgotten Shore within the Cosmodrome. So travel there, and you'll now be entering the Vela's Labyrinth Lost sector. As you enter, on your left, in the maze area, will be a shielded puzzle plate to begin the process once more. Repeat the steps of staring at the rune and moving in the guided direction. Once complete here, we'll have another group of taken to run through, this time doing the Lost sector in reverse. Kill all the ads until you make it back into the maze, where it'll end with another Keeper of Power. Killing this guy gives us another Osseous fragment and our next quest step, which has us return to the shaping slab, which this next step actually splits into a branch of 3 quests, all revolving around a taken relic. Each of these are relatively simple to complete though. The first we did had us launch into the Nightmare Hunt Pride. In this mission, complete it until you get to the final boss room with the Nightmare of Skolas. Our goal now is to pick up this taken relic, which is marked on the HUD, and then become empowered by fulfilling some requirement. Also, while not empowered and you have the relic, kills are going to extend your timer, which that timer will kill you if it runs out. The requirement for this relic is to just kill things until you get a new buff and accompanying text in the bottom left, which once you're empowered, you need to unshield the relic, which is done by just killing Skolas. Once it's unshielded, you can dunk, and dunking there completes the first of the 3 quests. The next we did was the Altars of Sorrow one, and this was especially straightforward. Pick up the marked relic and slay out until you're empowered. It doesn't need to be any special enemy. And then once empowered, go back and dunk the relic. Then the third and final quest is completed within the Hallowed Grove on the EDZ. This relic is right as soon as you enter the Lost sector and has a much shorter death timer, which requires you to quickly move through the Lost sector, getting kills to extend it until you can dunk at the end, which then gives us our next step, where we need to defeat 3 enemies within the Nether that carries the Osseous fragments we seek. Now there is an extremely easy way to complete all 3 of these quests. First things first is to find a Thrall statue. We found 2 within the entire Nether, 1 within the Trenchway here, and then 1 within the Hall of Souls near spawn here. What you want to do is run up to the statue and hold interact, which will then spawn a yellow bar enemy. Once dispatched, an Osseous fragment will spawn back at the statue, where you can pick it up and complete that part of the quest. Now the quickest way to complete this is just use the same statue for all 3. Once you've summoned and defeated 1 guy, reload the Nether and use the same statue, or at least where you know the 2 statues are. But once you've done that and gotten all 3 quests completed, you'll get a new quest, which actually means you've unlocked the exotic mission. And this quest literally wants you to get the gun and complete the mission, which is called Derealize. So launch that from the last city, and it will begin the exotic mission guide portion of this video. It begins as simply as it can after loading in, with one goal being to defeat Dread. Keep moving forward, killing waves of Dread until you get a boss subjugator, which once you kill him will unshield this portal. You're gonna go through that portal, and you're actually gonna be brought into a boss fight immediately. Within, you begin by damaging the boss, but at points it's going to become immune. When it does, you'll need to defeat Blight Sentinels, which are kind of situated around the edges of the bubble, and when you defeat them, it's going to summon a taken conduit that drops a relic when killed. This is the same relic from earlier, and your goal is to become empowered by scoring kills with the relic. Once empowered, you're going to dunk on the marked Blight, just check your HUD, and then do that one more time after becoming torn between worlds to make the boss damageable. After you do some damage, the boss is going to repeat that phase one more time, but this time you'll be teleported away to deal damage. Within this next area, you can just kill the subjugator. And then begins the next puzzle. This one has to do with the directional plates, but now there's 4 symbols above it. The solution here is all about matching symbols. On the wall, if the leftmost symbol doesn't match what's shown in front of you, don't move. If it is matching, move in the direction the arrow on the plate you're standing on is pointing. So like right here, it showed pizza at the top leftmost one and pizza on the wall, so G walked backwards. The next was A, which didn't match, so we did nothing. And after that was turret on both, so G followed the plate and moved left. Which, once you've solved all 4, this then leads you to the next Osseous fragment, which is needed for the quest and opens up a new area of the Dreadnought. This next area is all for the mission, and we're currently in a jumping puzzle of sorts. The goal is to move forward, going from hole in the wall to hole in the wall, avoiding these crazy needle things, until you get to the second area with the taken Minotaurs. Once you're here, follow me, but right under where I jumped is a hive crystals that G miners broke. You can actually hear it. Our goal is to find 3 of these and break them to be able to continue on with the mission. The next one we found was way at the top in the same wall as the last one, and then the third was back across on the other side of this hole where G miners is. Breaking all 3 of these takes down a barrier and lets us move forward towards the final encounter area, which you just kind of have to move upwards to get to. And then once you reach that area and start the encounter after the rally flag, you can actually pick up Barrow Dyad right there. It just gives you the exotic. Now, as for completing the exotic mission and defeating the final boss, when you're not torn between worlds, just attack the normal guy, the hive guy. And when you are torn, attack the taken guy. And then to stop being torn, shoot the blights around the room that are marked on your HUD. Now be careful, because once you've killed one of them, you'll need to escape the room and capture this plate that we're standing on here, locking the guy in the room. Which, once you're done, actually just completes the Derealize mission. But that's not where this video ends, because there's still something more. We can begin upgrading Barrow Dyad with new Intrinsics and jumpstarting our progress towards the catalysts. This process begins by returning to the Shaping Slab, where we get another new quest to pick up 6 Osseous fragments within the Nether. So now within the Nether, these kind of just spawn everywhere. At the moment, we only needed to pick up 12 for everything, and we found 6 within the Trenchway and 6 within the Mausoleum. I'm going to let these play out in a second, but while we look at where we found them in the Trenchway, take note that you can see the fragments on your minimap. So if you see that diamond, go to it and you'll get an Osseous fragment. You don't really need to hunt that hard. But like I said, I'm just going to play these clips of where we found the 12 this week, starting with the Trenchway. I could voice over it, but I feel like it's a waste of breath since you can just watch the footage. Okay, now that completes that step once you've picked up the 6th fragment and unlocks Panic Response 2, which you can immediately go craft. But as you saw, we also got another quest to pick up 6 more, which is what we're seeing now, and we're located within the Mausoleum. Okay, we're back, and that's the 6th or 12th Osseous fragment, and that unlocks Panic Response 3. But now our quest actually has us return to this lab, and that's where the quest ends for this week. Because this lab doesn't have yet the moment of clarity that it's asking for, we can't continue to get Intrinsic 4 or 5 or any of the catalysts. If there's new info when you watch this, please go look at my pinned comment to see what's happened, and if there's enough new info, I'll likely have another video finishing the upgrade process. So if you're in the future watching this video, it should be linked in the top right. But as of now, to summarize everything we've got, we can get and upgrade Barrow Dyad to Intrinsic 3 and change our barrel and mag perks. We can also just play through the new exotic mission, which was pretty cool. So hopefully this guide was short and to the point, and with the timestamps you were able to get everything that you needed. Thank you so much for getting this far into the video. Your viewership means a ton. I'm not gonna ramble on for much more. If you wanna support me and support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription goes a very long way. You can also join if you wanna go the extra mile. If you wanna support me and support the channel, but you can't think of a comment down below, Barrow Dyad, or Derealized, because that's also kind of cool. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.